enemy down. 2 for 1. Triple down.
Okay.
Look at them fall.
Is that a 5-man? Alright.
You've gained the lead. I envy your strength, Titan. 2 for 1. Triple down. Two for 1.
Yo, how is it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Crucible Brothers. My name is Lionhearts, and today we're going to be talking about the 450 Precision Auto Rifle family that was recently buffed in this Solstice of Heroes update. We talk about where it stands in the meta now, what you should be looking out in terms of god rolls, which ones you should be going after, and just the general vibe of auto rifles in general. But before we get started, I am no longer asking. We are anywhere from 5 to 8 subscribers away from 6,000 subscribers. I know my analytics, okay? I pay attention. A lot of you who watch these goddamn videos are not subscribed. If 8 of you take a second and click that button, my mind will be put at ease. We are right there on the razor's edge. Let me finish and help us hit 6,000 subscribers. While you're doing that, make sure you like the video and comment as well to help out with the YouTube algorithm, and let's just get on with the darn thing. Alright, so I'm going to put all my cards on the table right at the start. 450 auto rifles are very much right dead average in the meta. They have an average time to kill with high accessibility and ease of use baked right into the weapon. The biggest weaknesses are there's a lot of outliers in the meta that straight up beat it, and the one major drawback to this archetype is the low aim assist. Keep that in mind for controller and mouse and keyboard players. These weapons will ghost bullet at the end of their damage fall-offs, and it's something you notice when you play with them long enough. Other than that, there's actually a lot to like here, especially in terms of abusing damage buffs. Now, 2 of the 3 auto rifles we're going to talk about today both come with Swashbuckler, that being Shadow Price and Tigerspite. And by far one of the best strategies that we've found with using this archetype of weapon is the good old swash and dive. You're going to want to put your peregrines on, you're going to want to find an unsuspecting victim, launch your kneecap through their cranium at high speeds, take your swashbuckler combined with Radiant into the next gunfight, hit 47 to the crit with a 450 auto rifle, and start shredding. This is an incredibly efficacious playstyle that 450s seem uniquely set up to abuse because they're so stable and so accurate inside of their damage fall-off that they take Swashbuckler and just run with it. Now, this is definitely not your only path to success here. 450s tend to abuse damage boosts better than a lot of other weapons in the game. Tigerspite has access to kill clip, the number has access to multi-kill clip, and hell, even Firefight can get by with stuff like Focus Fury, Radiant Abuse, and even Adagio in some cases. Basically, any way you can increase your damage in this archetype is a huge boon to you because you will significantly decrease your time to kill. It's one of those archetypes that really lends itself to damage boost abuse. So now that we've laid out kind of the playstyle we're going for here, let's talk about some of the individual 450s and their pros and cons. Starting off with the hallmark of the archetype, and unfortunately the now long sunset pinnacle variant, the Breakneck. Flat out, the only reason to use Breakneck at this point is if you want to run 6's lobbies, you want to have that Taraba-like power of increasing rate of fire and damage at the same time, but without using an exotic or an SMG. Breakneck finally feels like it has a stable place in the game, and it's really unfortunate that it comes at a time where it's at its least accessible. Not being able to be used in Trials or other endgame PvE content really hurts, because Breakneck would have a fantastic niche in the game right now if it was still allowed to be used. Being able to scale your damage and rate of fire is super good, and it finally feels like Breakneck has enough ease of use, enough range, and a meta that is just accepting of it enough for it to be worth using. Whereas before, it felt so slow, so sluggish that getting the first kill sucked, and most of the time it didn't matter because being able to chain kills became harder and harder. But now we're playing in a much more aggressive meta. There's a lot of fast healing, there's a lot of damage boost abuse going around everywhere. So you're getting into a lot of back-to-back engagements. So you can actually use Onslaught to your advantage, you can feel that rate of fire difference start to stack up, and if you get multiple kills going, you are terrifying. So is it worth Ascended Shards for you to go and buy this if you haven't gotten it already? Probably not, but if you're an auto rifle enthusiast, you should pick up Breakneck and give it a try, because if nothing else, it's a fun weapon. Moving on into the non-Sunset world, let's take a second and talk about tigerspite. Tigerspite for a long time was memed on as one of the worst weapons in the entirety of Destiny 2 for its frequency to drop from Dreaming City activities while being completely and totally useless while people were grinding for stuff like Twilight Oath. But here's the thing, right? Do not sleep on tigerspite. This thing is actually really god tier. Good enough to where we did an independent video on it a few weeks back, so I'm not going to belabor the point too long. I'm just going to redirect you to that video. But tigerspite has best in class aim assist, best in class range, I think second best in class stability, and the best overall perk pool out of all of these weapons. Kill Clip, Swashbuckler, Frenzy, Rangefinder, Surplus, Overflow, Subsistence even. This weapon is damn near perfect in terms of variety and options for you to build around. Kill Clip, fantastic. Swashbuckler for Peregrine Greaves. Frenzy for general gameplay. Rangefinder for consistency. Like, that is an amazing amount of variety to choose from. Combined with the stat package, one of the best overall sights in the game in terms of ADS picture, this weapon is severely underrated and overhated. It's very easy to farm from Umbral engrams at the helm, and I highly recommend you pick one up and give it a try. This thing will not steer you wrong. Speaking of perk pools, our next 450 is kind of the total opposite in terms of accessibility here, and that is the Shadow Price. Not only is Shadow Price unfortunately no longer dropping from Nightfalls, even when it did, it basically had one loadout to chase after for perks for PvP. You were always going to go with Swashbuckler, and you were either going to pair it with Surplus, Overflow, or Killing Wind based on preference. Swashbuckler was always the best perk here. Sometimes you could justify one for all, but I highly would not recommend it. This makes Shadow Price kind of like the default go-to if you are a Peregrine's abuser like myself. I have a Swashbuckler Surplus Shadow Price, and it definitely does really well. Shadow Price is incredibly stable, it's got that super high base stability, it's just an absolute laser beam. As soon as you get those damage buffs going, it absolutely shreds. But overall, I would say it's a little bit weaker than tigerspite, even as an adept weapon. And adept mods are a big deal, but even with adept targeting, it's not that much better in terms of aim assist. And overall, I just think the variety of tigerspite makes it better, and thankfully tigerspite is still farmable. If you have one in the vault, give it a try, but I think you are going to get better results with other auto rifles. Rounding things off, the last auto rifle we're going to talk about today is the newest addition to this family, and it is the Firefight from the Leviathan. Firefight actually stands alone as one of the most unique auto rifles in the entire game, as it is the first one to feature enhanced hipfire grip. Now we're going to spend most of our time talking about enhanced hipfire grip today, because enhanced hipfire is one of the most transformative perks in the game. I've talked about this before, but every single weapon that features enhanced hipfire, you should seek out and you should get. Right now, that's Syncopation, Without Remorse, and now Firefight. What this does is this takes every single weapon and give it perfect hipfire accuracy. We're talking Last Word or the BXR 55 for comparison, where you can now reliably hipfire this weapon out to its damage fall off and give yourself much more flexibility in how you approach gunfights. Why is this advantageous? If you're hipfiring, you're using your maximum strafe speed, which means you can break ankles. And even a step beyond that, it gives you the ability to mix up your strafe speed. You can start the engagement hip firing, and then end with an ADS so that you can slow down your strafe speed, maybe catch them off guard wiggling around. There's a lot of cool ways to abuse this to your advantage, and it keeps you flexible, fast, and mobile in your gunfight. Hipfire is one of the most important tools in your arsenal in general. Hipfire is not used enough to begin with because it's very forgiving for most weapons, but when you throw on basically perfect accuracy, increased aim assist, a bigger hitbox, oh man, it gets nasty so fast. Think about how good the BXR is, how good the Last Word is, how good the Syncopation is with enhanced hipfire, and now you're translating it to a fully automatic weapon. It's almost like a cheat code. It feels like playing Counter-Strike. I have my M4 back in my hands, and it feels so damn comfortable. The only major drawbacks is that the Firefight kind of has okay to bad base stats for the archetype. Mostly it's low 33 aim assist. This is alleviated somewhat by hipfire grip being a boost to aim assist while hipfiring, but man, sometimes can you feel this thing missing shots that it really shouldn't. The other unfortunate hole here is perk selection. There isn't a good damage perk in the right column to pair with Hipfire Grip. Your best choice, in my opinion, is Adagio. And Adagio, I know, listen, I know you're going to click off the video. I just said do use Adagio, but hear me out for a second. So for pretty much every weapon archetype in the game, Adagio is a net negative, because the damage bonus is not enough of an offset from the loss of rate of fire to be a net benefit in time to kill. However, 450s kind of stand alone, because 450s and high impact auto rifles share essentially the same time to kill, and Adagio is lowering your rate of fire from 450 into that high impact territory. So you're not really losing time to kill, you're gaining more damage per shot, which can help with cleanups and team fights. It's basically a consistency perk at that point. And honestly, it's your best option, because what are you going to run, like Focus Fury? Too inconsistent. Surrounded? Too inconsistent. Osmosis? Why? Like, it's your best option in the right column to pair with Hipfire Grip, and really it's the biggest thing holding back Firefight. God, if this thing had Swashbuckler, or Rampage, or Kill Clip, it would be an absolute monster. I still do highly recommend you try it though, because Enhanced Hipfire Grip alone is enough to warrant crafting this weapon. It is that transformative of a perk. So yeah, that's the 450 auto rifle buff. Definitely not the strongest archetypal weapon in the game, but they are a lot of fun and a nice break from other archetypes of weapons that we may be crutching on a little too much in the Crucible on our day-to-day. Have you tried it since the buff? Did you use them before? What's your favorite 450 auto? Let us know in the comments down below. Are you part of the tigerspite cult? If not, join today. And while you're there, make sure you leave a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.